Welcome back to another episode of the Ian Fritts Show. It's me, as usual, per usual, Ian Fritts. We have a little bit of a different show here today, folks. As you can see, the agenda's to the left. Letters from fans. You're like, Ian, what is a letter from a fan? Well, you're about to find out. We have the what if poll, my top 25, the only correct top 25. I'm going to preface it with this. I hate it as much as you're going to hate it. I'm not sure exactly what to do with the top 25 anymore with what is going on in college football this year. And then at the end, I have some apologies I'd like to make because I feel like it's needed based on the week we had with the picks. So you have that to look forward to. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you are subscribed, put that bell on, like the video, send this to someone else so they can subscribe, and we'll continue making the videos. Okay, so letters from fans. We're going to jump right in. You have it above me here. That's Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. We received this letter after the Texas Tech game. I should say Colorado has won. They won last night against Texas Tech. They controlled their own destiny with Iowa State losing again. And if they win out, including the Big 12 championship game, you're looking at right here, probably the 4 seed in the college football playoff. I'm not sure if that needs to be stated enough, if it can be stated enough that the Colorado Buffaloes, they are this close to having a college football playoff bye. I don't think people understand that. We're inching closer and closer week by week. And people need to recognize that. They need to understand that. They need to know that we're this close to it happening. And that's not some mirage. It's not some fantasy. This guy up here has transformed an entire program in 2 years, and it is astonishing to watch. Now, we got this letter after the game from a Colorado fan. It says, I'm directly from the sender here, no name on this one. It says, to esteemed college football voice, thank you, Mr. Colorado fan. I want to thank you for being honest about hating Colorado. Not everyone says what they truly think, and that is why I love your show. I'm going to pause before I get to the rest of it. I appreciate that. Look, I have been honest about it. I hate Colorado. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't want them to succeed. I don't want Deion to succeed. I've been hating on him since he got there, and I just hate that it gets the coverage that it does. And you're thinking, Ian, why aren't you covering it right now? I am because I have to. And truly, it's one of the best stories in college football this year, what he has done up there. And I talk about it like it is. I'm honest. I hate him. I have this, just, when you watch a game and you don't have a dog in the fight, but then you just start pulling for one of the other teams. Every time I watch Colorado, I'm pulling for the other team. No, it's not like I'm trying to pull for the other team. It's just my natural inclination, just the way that I'm hardwired right now against Colorado. And this guy likes that I tell it how it is. Okay, jumping back into the letter. You were also correct in saying this Colorado team has a chance to do the most special thing in all of college football. I can't believe that Deion has transformed this team, this program, into a college football playoff contender. Go Buffs. Wow. That letter pretty much sums up my thoughts on Colorado. Apparently the fans' thoughts on Colorado. Deion has transformed this team in 2 years, and it is astonishing to watch. They are a college football playoff contender. People are not ready to realize that. They only have one Big 12 loss, and it came against Kansas State, 2 points at home, had a chance to win. They didn't. Their remaining games against Utah, against the Kansas team, and against an Oklahoma State team. Oklahoma State, they're a whole nother thing. They might be the most disappointing team in all of college football. Kansas could be the same could be said for the Kansas Jayhawks, even the Utah Utes. You got 3 disappointing teams coming in. You win those games. You play most likely a BYU team. You could also play a Kansas State team and get your revenge. But either way, this team right here, Deion, can be in the college football playoff as a 4 seed. They will get a bye. People need to realize that. The Colorado fan we just talked to does realize that. He has his head on right. Okay? Next game I want to talk about. Ole Miss, Georgia. We got a letter from a Georgia fan. Before I jump into the letter, I have to talk about the game. Look, I was wrong about this one. I couldn't go against Georgia, ladies and gentlemen. There was nothing in my body that said, this is Ole Miss, this is Ole Miss, this is Ole Miss. And my body was wrong. My body should have said, Ian, Georgia hasn't looked right. And my body did tell me Georgia hadn't looked right. But there was something about Lane Kiffin having never won a game this big that I couldn't get over. There was nothing in my body that could say, Lane Kiffin can turn it around and they can beat Georgia handedly by 18 points, and it will never look in doubt. It will never look in doubt. Even if you hand the other team the ball at the 15-yard line and they score to go up, it will never be in doubt. You will march down the field with a backup quarterback after an injury from Jackson Dart, and you're going to score points. You're going to move the ball up and down on this Georgia Bulldog defense. Your defensive line is going to eat, and they did. The line of scrimmage was a big talking point going into this game. We've known all year how good this Ole Miss defensive line is. They've whooped pretty much everyone they've played, and they did it again against Georgia yesterday. I saw several clips where the Georgia offensive linemen, I'm not sure if they were told don't block the guys or if they just thought, I'm going to take a play off, excuse me, because there are multiple. If it's only one clip, I can understand. Hey, bad play, erase it, don't let it happen again. You move on, you move forward. But there are multiple, and it's not just one guy on the offensive line for Georgia. There are multiple guys that don't block anyone on multiple plays. How does that happen at the Georgia Bulldog program? How does that happen at the University of Georgia? How does that happen under Kirby Smart? These are just questions that need to be asked. I don't have the answers. I'm not in that program. I'm not in the facility every day. If I see it, if people on Twitter see it, you can bet your money that Kirby Smart sees it and that coaching staff sees it. Because if a dum-dum like me and a dum-dum like you, you're not dumb, if we see it, Kirby Smart definitely sees it, and they got to fix it. They got to fix it because why? Well, they play Tennessee next week, ladies and gentlemen, and Tennessee, they're no slouches defensively. They have a top 5 defense statistically in pretty much every category, and they run people out of buildings defensively. You can't do anything on them. And based on what we've seen from the Georgia offense, I'm not sure we have any faith that they could score any points against Tennessee this weekend. Just an observation. Tennessee hasn't let up any points, and Georgia cannot do anything offensively right now. Congrats to Lane Kiffin. He proved me wrong, and he deserves all the praise in the world for this win. This is a huge program win for Ole Miss. They were building all offseason for this game, and they handed it to Georgia. Now, you can't slip these last couple of weeks if you're Ole Miss. You don't have super tough competition coming down the stretch. If you win out, barring some other things, you could be playing in the SEC championship game. And if you're not, and you finish 10-2, you're probably in the SEC championship game. So congrats to Ole Miss. Georgia, we got a letter from one of you guys. We have to talk about it. We have to address it. Look, it says, Dear Mr. Fritts, and preface this, you don't need to call me Mr. Fritts. You can call me Ian. You can call me esteemed college football voice. Either of those will do. No need to formally call me Mr. Fritz. He says, that is as cordial as I will be. Well, okay. Never in my life did I ever think this Georgia team could be this inept. They could not score points. We can't run the ball. We can't run the bleep ball. I will bleep all those out. We're a family-friendly show here. We can't run the bleeping ball. I mean, you are the Georgia Bulldogs. How can you not run the football? That's about as basic as it can be. Hand up. He's got a point. How can you not run the football at the University of Georgia? It's basic. It's fundamental. You haven't been able to do it all year, and you continue to not be. It's a concern. Valid concern from Georgia fan here. It's unacceptable to be this bad offensively. I have seen enough of Carson Beck. I am done with him. Get him out of there. I love this team, but if we don't beat Tennessee, consider me done. Wow. Not even a go dogs from a Georgia fan. And if you know Georgia fans, they love to say go dogs after every single thing they send, and did not get a go dogs after that. That's pretty telling from the fan base in Athens, Georgia, where they're at. And he's quitting on his team if they lose to Tennessee. He is quitting on his team if they lose to Tennessee. That's what the Georgia fan is telling me right now. And I think quitting on his team is maybe taking it a little too far. You'll have a loss against a top 10 Ole Miss team. You'll have a loss against a top 10 Alabama team, and you'll have a loss against a top 10 Tennessee team. I think quitting on the team might be a little too far. However, Everything else he said, Carson Beck being that bad, not running the football, being inept offensively, everything he said there is valid concerns from a Georgia fan. Don't hate anything he said, and he's got valid concerns. I would be concerned if I was Georgia right now. Next game up. Missouri, Oklahoma. We have a letter from an Oklahoma fan. I need to address this very quickly. If you didn't watch this game, you were not missing out for about the first 56 minutes of this football game. It was pretty much a snooze fest. Not a lot of offense. Punt, field goal, fumble, punt, field goal, fumble, punt, field goal. It was a snooze fest. Defenses were playing good. Offenses were bad. As expected coming into this game, I didn't think we would see offensive explosions. Nobody in the world thought we would see offensive explosions. That's not something we were ever going to get in this football game. So to see that from those teams is telling, okay? Especially from the Oklahoma side of things. It's about as bad as it can get there in Norman, Oklahoma. From a Missouri side of things, Eli Drinkowitz said after the game, we're still in playoff contention. We are still there. Everything is still in front of us. And technically, he's not wrong. They are in playoff contention. However, if they finish 10-2 and a Georgia finishes 9-3, I would think a Georgia 9-3 would get in over 10-2 Missouri. I don't know that for a fact, but that's where I would lean. That's where I'm sure the College Football Playoff Committee would lean, because you watch this Missouri team and you don't think that's a really good football team. You think, I want to turn this off, quite frankly. No hate coming at Mizzou. And you're looking at the picture above me, just an exceptional catch by Theo Weiss. Just phenomenal. To come back and win that football game against Oklahoma with a minute left is astounding. It's astonishing. In Oklahoma, they are down in the dumps. We're just going to jump in to the letter from this Oklahoma fan. He actually titled this letter "True Sadness." True Sadness. Just a title on this letter from the Oklahoma fan. It says, Ian, this is going to be tough if you're an OU fan out there. You probably have a lot of the same sentiments. Let's get into it. Ian, I can't even describe to you what I am feeling. I believe it. This is the epitome of bad football. Nothing I can do. I can yell, I can scream, and call for coaches' jobs. But I know, and we all know, the OU football I grew up with is dead. Let me repeat that right there. I mean, that's powerful stuff from this OU fan. The OU football I grew up with is dead. And I hate that. Yeah, I would hate it too. If the OU football you grew up with was dead. Yeah, it's a tough situation. I hate it, and I hate admitting it. It makes me sick, but it's the truth, and the truth hurts. Anyone who wants to understand what the absolute rock bottom is just needs to be friends with an OU fan. And the only way to describe it is in 2 words. True sadness. True sadness, ladies and gentlemen. If you're an OU fan out there, I'm sure that's what you're feeling. And I'm sure that you resonate with everything that Oklahoma fan just said. True sadness. We will move on. Next game up. Alabama, LSU. We also gotten a letter from an Alabama fan, ladies and gentlemen. A nice letter. Alabama fans are riding high, ladies and gentlemen. They are riding high, about as high as you can get. This was a huge game. This was a huge game for both programs coming into it. The loser of it most likely eliminated from college football playoff contention. It's safe to say with the performance LSU threw out there last night that I'm eliminated. Boom, they're done. Alabama still squarely in the conversation, and they look like one of the best teams in the country last night. Quite frankly, from the very first drive of the football game where they marched down the field against that LSU Tiger defense, they look like one of the best teams in all of college football. Not much more I can say. Jalen Milroe looked like the Jalen Milroe we thought he would look like under Kalen DeBoer. Every single thing was firing on all cylinders. That's the Alabama Crimson Tide that a lot of people thought we were going to get coming into the season. That's the team I thought we were going to get. That's why I was so high on them in the preseason. That's who Alabama thinks they are. And they showed the world last night they're not going anywhere. Let's jump into the letter from the Alabama fan. Ian, we are back. Alabama finally played Alabama football. For the first time since the first half of the Georgia game, we are back. That was the best win of the season for this team. I don't Disagree with that. I think that was the best win for Alabama all year. You could say the Georgia win, but the way that this LSU win looked last night, I agree with this Alabama fan here. That was definitely their best win of the season. And I would say by a considerable margin, He goes on to say, the entire city would have crumbled if we lost. You were right about that. But we didn't. We won. Tuscaloosa is still standing. We whooped some Tiger beep. Forgive me for the beeps, but family-friendly show. Kalen DeBoer silenced his haters and made the world recognize we are still the pinnacle of college football, and there is nothing anyone can do about it. Roll Tide. Well, there you go. You see the Alabama fan, he ends his letter with Roll Tide. The Georgia fan did not. He didn't end it with Go Dogs. The OU fan didn't end it with Boomer Sooner. You can tell based on those letters, the temperature of the teams, the fan bases in college football right now. Alabama's back on top of the world based on that. Well, this Alabama fan at least is riding high. He's about as high as you can get, and I don't blame him because what he's doing right now, what Kalen DeBoer did last night, that's what we expected. Alabama is still at the top of this sport. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the What If poll for Week 12. It's here. It's arrived. Let's get into it. Number 25 team in the country, Louisville Cardinals. Hand up, they could probably be higher. I just didn't want them to be higher, and that's why they're 25. Number 24 team in the country, Tulane Green Wave. Sneaky, one of the best logos in all of college football. I love this Tulane Green Wave logo, and it gets some brownie points from me and moves up in the rankings just because it's a sweet logo. Number 22 team in the country, LSU Tigers. We skipped 23 for effect. Iowa State Cyclones. I know some of you wanted to drop Iowa State out of the top 25. Hand up. I was one of them. And then I started looking at the teams 26 through like 35 in my rankings and thinking, I'm not sure who I'm supposed to put up there instead of Iowa. They only have 2 losses, back to back, but I'm not sure I can move them up. I'm not sure I can drop them out of the top 25. So we didn't. We kept them right there at number 23. LSU at number 22. Number 21, the Washington State Cougars. They just continue to win, continue to have an exceptional offense, game in, game out, week in, week out. They score a lot of points. Fun offense to watch. I know some of you were asleep, and I don't blame you because they play at midnight. Top 20 here. Number 20 team in the country, according to the What If poll, Kansas State Wildcats. Look, Kansas State's a team that is confusing, ladies and gentlemen, because when they lose, they lose. Like, you're like, ugh, what am I watching? What am I watching from Kansas State right now? But when they win, you're like, there we go. There we go. They put it all together. That's the team I expected. But right now, I'm just confused. I'm confused by the Wildcats. We got the Army. Support the troops. They will continue to be in the top 25 until they lose. Once they lose, they're out because they've played nobody. But we support the troops, so we have them in the top 25. Number 18 team in the country. We led the show with it, ladies and gentlemen. One of the best stories in all of college football. The Colorado Buffaloes continue to win, and they continue to show that they are not to be messed with in the confusing, I think is a good word to put it, Big 12. Number 17 team in the country, Clemson Tigers. That was a good win yesterday for Virginia Tech, and they let up a blocked field goal for a touchdown. Clemson did. So you have that, and you still win a game. I believe the stats are like 90% of the teams that give up a special teams touchdown end up losing the game. So Clemson, they defied the odds. They won that game. Right in front of them, we have the Texas A&M Aggies. Look, I could probably move Texas A&M up, but I don't want to, so I'm keeping them at 16. Number 15 team in the country, South Carolina Gamecocks. My only holdback right now with South Carolina is they have 3 losses. And I know. Just because they have 3 losses doesn't mean you are what your record says you are. However, 3 losses is still 3 losses. You still dropped the ball 3 times, okay? That still sticks with me, and I still see that. However, I think they're really, really good, especially defensively. They are most definitely a top 15 team in the country. Right in front of them, Miami Hurricanes. The U went down this weekend. It went down. I can't do the down without getting the elbows up. Anyways, it was bound to happen at some point. They were playing with fire literally every weekend since about mid-October, beginning of October. It was bound to happen. Cam Ward can only do so much. He can only do so much. BYU Cougars at number 13. We dropped them significantly. it's bound to happen with BYU. They're in the same boat as Miami. They're playing with fire too much and too often. The way they play is not sustainable. They're going to drop a game eventually, I think. Number 12 team in the country, Boise State. They just continue to do what they're supposed to do. Ashton Jeanty had another 3-touchdown, 200-yard game. His Heisman campaign is still there, still alive, still active. Right in front of him, the Ponies from Dallas, SMU. Watch out for the Ponies. They are now the leaders in the ACC. They are in the driver's seat in the ACC. Who saw that coming? Not a lot of people. Not a lot of people. Top 10, here we go. Number 10 team in the country, Georgia Bulldogs. I'm concerned. I am concerned, heavily concerned if I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan, especially offensively. It's not good. Not good. Ole Miss Rebels. They just put belt to you-know-what against Georgia yesterday. And, they deserve to move up into the top 10. Right in front of them, Penn State Nittany Lions. I said last week, Penn State shouldn't even sniff the top 10, but they are. And they're in the top 10 now. Ohio State right in front of them. I'm way lower on Ohio State and Penn State than the rest of the country, and I believe I'm correct on both of those teams in being that low on them. Alabama Crimson Tide moving up to number 6 in the what if poll. They could be if every team plays to their potential, and not every team has shown us their potential, but Alabama has, I think, on several occasions. First half against Georgia, the entire game against LSU yesterday. If they play like that, I'm not sure a team in the country can beat them. Number 5 team in the country, Tennessee Volunteers. Nico may be injured. I know they said he would be back against Georgia this weekend, but either way, the offense still isn't stellar. Not super impressed with Tennessee, but defensively, the defense is legit. Number 4 team in the country, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Fighting Irish. We finally predicted a Notre Dame game correctly. Yay us. It was against Florida State. Not sure it counts, but since the loss, I know it was against Northern Illinois. Ian, how could you have them in the top 4? Because offensively, defensively, they're destroying teams. And we've seen this one too many times. Clemson was doing it. You destroy a bunch of nobodies, and then you play a good team, and everything falls apart. So they could very well fall apart when they play a good team. I'm not sure the next good team they play is Army, maybe? Texas Longhorns at number 3. Indiana Hoosiers at number 2. Oregon Ducks still at number 1. Indiana and Ohio State play in a couple weekends. I wish I could be there. I won't be there, but I wish I could. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the what if poll. Now, right below that, the what if poll, we have apologies. I'm going to take a sip here from the patented mug, and then we'll get into the apologies because there needs to be some. If you want one, let me know. It's a nice looking mug. It's kiln fired, polished, shiny. Everything you want in a mug. Keeps your stuff cold. It's nice. Okay, apologies. Look, I've been telling you how good we are with the picks all year. And from start to finish, if we finish right now, we would have a winning record about 60%. Not where I want it to be, but better than a lot of people in the country right now. But I need to apologize yesterday. We were 6-12 on the picks. 6 wins, 12 losses. 6 for 18, if you want to look at it that way. Not a good showing by any means. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong other than looking at it. We only picked 3 underdogs, and normally I'm about 40% underdogs, and that's the number we need to be hitting. That's the number we need to be hitting, ladies and gentlemen. I know the gut failed yesterday. It won't fail again. I'm telling you that right now. It will not let you down again. Just stick with me. Next week will be a better week. I'm sorry for the picks last week. That is on me. Hand up. I need to be better. I need to be better with the picks. I don't even really have any bright spots to mention because there weren't any. 6 wins. Yeah, you're bound to win some if you pick all these games. So not good. Not good on my end. I'm sorry for that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you want to subscribe down below. The picks will be better next week. If not, it'll still be an entertaining show that you need to tune into. And to do that, you can subscribe. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. We will see you in the next video. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
35-40, 45-50, 45